At Quickfill, what matters most is that our customers, our communities, and our heroes are taken care of. We start by providing American-made gasoline, which means you can buy local, keeping America and your communities strong. We also support vital charities every year and hold Operation Give Thanks each November to help provide a better future for our veterans and their families. We're proud to support the communities we live and work in, and we're doing our best every day to make our towns a better place. Quickfill, driving America.
All year round, Frontier Home Products and Design has what you need to make your home comfortable and beautiful. Relax on a new timber tech deck designed by Frontier's experts. A new fireplace from Frontier Home Products Fireplace Gallery adds warmth and serenity to any home. Beauty and versatility at Frontier Home Products and Design Center, 4213 Peachtree, 5th next to the Bayfront Highway.
Frontier Home Products and Design Center. Discover a new frontier.
PA contractor number PA 039007.
Welcome to TalkErie.com's Joel Natale Show, Erie, Pennsylvania's daily podcast. Every day, we tackle the biggest issues that the Erie, PA region faces. Stay informed and involved as we advance the narrative of Erie. Now, here's Joel Natale.
Welcome, Deonte. Appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's always, I always appreciate being a guest here and always welcome to come back anytime you ask me to come. So thank you for having me.
Alrighty. So I got to get to it right off the bat because something has turned in your mind about, agency.
Right.
And about, empowerment, if you will, when it comes to, minority young people and the trades. So
right.
Can you start when you started thinking about this and what prompted you? What occurred to you that said, there's some opportunity here?
So honestly, it's like, I'm not exactly sure where the idea first originally came from. I went to Central, graduated in Central, so it was always trades.
Did you do CTE there?
Yeah, so I did auto body. So
nice.
Yeah, it was auto body. So
did you ever work it?
No, I didn't. I went right to college playing football.
You know how much they'll pay if you are good at that?
Yeah, and they told us, like, we was thinking BMW shops and going, like, all the opportunities that they were talking about could have. And that was important to me at the time because they emphasized it at Central. Like, go to the shops. We had, like, the work steady programs where you would be able to do co-op. You do half a day of school, half a day of work. Like, I had a cousin who was at Gary Miller, to do stuff like that. So there was a point in time to where I feel old saying this. Like, my generation of students was like, we want to learn how to work with our hands. We want to learn we used to take bikes apart, put them back together, lawnmowers apart, put them, stuff like that when we were kids. So like, and then thinking about the trades is, again, when you mention going to city council meetings, there's been plenty of times where I go to the city council meetings and you hear people complaining, we don't want hotels here. We do want hotels here. We're built right across the street. If you look and they're building the, flagship commons, you know what I mean? They're rebuilding everything in Erie. And a lot of people are complaining about who's making the decisions to make it happen. But it's still being built right down the street there. Got the connector going, to the water. So it's more or less like, how do we take advantage of these opportunities? And then when you hear some of the council people, say community benefit agreements, and it's like, well, if we can figure out ways to where we can get our community involved and pay for them to do the jobs and have the skills, then we'll vote yes for the hotels and we'll vote yes for these things. And it got me thinking like, well, even if we say, yeah, who's going to build it?
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I'm having a conversation. Tim Walker and I was having a conversation because that dude is sharp, man. That dude is sharp. So I just asked him like about it and he was like, yeah, I get all of that. But he pretty much mentioned that to me. Like, who's going to build this stuff?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, that makes sense. But if we get people involved with learning how to build it, it has so much of a bigger impact on the community than we can imagine outside of people just getting jobs, joining unions, becoming journeymen and stuff like that. So when I get some information, I dive into it and it's just like, all right, now I need to figure out how beneficial this actually can be and who do I need to tell this stuff to because everything isn't always for me, but it's for somebody that's around me. So that's where I got the idea of, all right, we need to look into this more because we talking about bag talk. You know what I mean? We talking about economic impact. We talking about economic development in the city of Erie. And then the topic of gentrification / community development has come up. So it's more or less like, how do we come up with solutions to where people who live right here in the city of Erie can also benefit as opposed to us just looking for problems to complain about or people to kind of crucify for trying to increase their investment portfolios while also having an impact on the city that they live in.
This is what I'm not going to be gushing over you, but I might be a little. This is what I appreciate about you because you instantly you're recognizing the problem, you're instantly going to solution.
Right.
And unfortunately, too many voices, they can articulate a problem and don't want to do the heavy lifting on the solution side. And I think that's where our community has to go, is solutions. Again, if you're going to wallow in the problem, you're not going to make any headway. And we need everybody on pushing that flywheel to rebuild this community here. Because let's face it, as these larger entities grow, that makes room for smaller entities to also grow.
Right.
It's not shutting people out. All right. So I want to unpack some of the things you just listed, like a bunch of bullet points. Let's remind folks what a bag talk is, because I think this is absolutely crucial here.
Okay. Yeah. So again, like, when I say bag talk, we're talking about money. We're talking about finances, from the largest level to the smallest level, because I believe that people need to understand the importance of money, what money is, how to have an impact on their economy, how to have conversations about finances too. Because a lot of people talk about financial literacy, we'll talk about generational wealth, but we don't break it down to the simplest form. You know what I mean? So when I say bag talk, I feel like everybody somehow or some way or another trying to get to a bag. So it's more or less like, how can we have these conversations to where everybody can understand, as opposed to saying financial literacy and it sounds aggressive or intimidating, or generational wealth to where it's like, oh, we're using this. So if we just say bag talk and, we're trying to get to a bag, then I think everybody understands what that concept means to them personally, individually. And then it's just more or less diving into that conversation. I tell people, like, don't feel intimidated if you don't have, even if you're earning $1 every day or $5 every day, understand the importance of earning, compounding, saving, budgeting, investing, and all of those things, and never ever have too much pride to have a conversation with somebody who has more than you. Because I feel like the pride and the shame is what stops a lot of people from understanding money. And I feel like, from what I've learned, people with money and who are earning money, they love to have conversation with other people who are interested with money on how to earn it, how to save it, tax breaks and stuff like that. But I believe there's a demographic of people who don't know how to have those conversations because they don't know how to define it. So I'm looking at it more or less like, if we can make bag talk popular around here in Erie, and let's say, for instance, somebody who feels like they don't have enough runs into you, and they're like, hey, let's have some bag talk. You're like, oh, yeah, I know what that means.
Yes.
You know what I mean? As opposed to me saying, hey, Joe, can you help me be financially stable and free? You might be like, I'm not a financial advisor.
Well, and half the time it's going to be learn from my mistakes. I started my career at $5 an hour on a small AM station in Dunkirk, New York. If I would have put $20 a week away when I was 22 years old, they say you'll be a millionaire by 65. Believe me, I will not be a millionaire by 65 because I didn't do those basic blocking and tackling kinds of moves, you know? Right. And again, you talk to people that really care about the quality of life for our neighborhoods throughout the city. And they're going to talk about, saving. They're going to talk about credit scores. Again, learn from my mistakes. Don't, back when I was in school, they were giving away 2-liter bottles of Pepsi if you signed up for a credit card. Yeah. I mean, how ridiculous is that?
Sign your life away for diabetes.
For diabetes. I mean, and that's how dumb I was back then. That kind of thing. I got a Sears card. Sometimes I bought laundry detergent on the card. Right. How ridiculous. Right. But you make these moves. And so, I mean, I think a lot of folks would love to say, learn from my mistakes. This is what you need to do. These are the simple moves. You mentioned something when we were off the air about, we're always going for the home run. Yeah. Instead of just trying to get a single.
Yeah, man. Like I read, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, and it talks about the little wins and, those 1% every single day. But again, we live in a city where I believe like a lot of people want to have the grandiose idea. We all want to have like the magic answer that's going to solve the biggest problems. And we're not even realizing that the little solutions that we can accumulate will turn into big solutions. And if everybody's doing something to have a small solution, ultimately it will be a grandiose thing. But I just believe that right now there's a mentality of us, and I'm not going to call it bad. I'm not going to call it good, because there are a lot of people who have a good heart. They have the intention to serve and want to do better. But a lot of us are just looking at it like, how do I eat the elephant in one bite, instead of realizing I have to eat the elephant one bite at a time. And It's a mindset thing. Sometimes it's a pride thing. Sometimes also it's an ego thing, but we need to acknowledge the fact that we recognize it and it's continuously causing problems for us if we don't minimize the expectation of what we're trying to solve and everybody take a little part as opposed to us all just trying to save the world in one day.
Yeah. I want to shout, you were mentioning, everybody wants to be an entrepreneur or a social media influencer. And we have some amazing entrepreneurs, minority entrepreneurs. I'm thinking of, the cafe 710, right?
Mabel. Yeah.
Mabel, and again, she's a phenomenal entrepreneur.
Right.
She has a strong business sense to the point that she's kind of a serial entrepreneur. She's got nonprofits that she's doing. She's doing the poetry and so on. And so I could just think of like a young person who likes to bake and say, I'm going to start a store. Well, maybe that's not your personality to take on all of that, but you could certainly go work at the bakery at Giant Eagle and show up for work every day,
right?
And do the work and serve the people
and learn the principle of business as well. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people will go to a job just to work and not realize that, like, not only is it an opportunity to work and earn money, but it's an opportunity to learn. If you have aspirations to be a business person, if you have aspirations to be an entrepreneur, then it's like, okay, not only am I going to work the shop, but I'm going to be talking to the owner about the orders, the supplies, how much flour we order, how much sugar. Why is it that you're making sure, why are we throwing away food, the food that we throw away? Why are we tracking these things? Why do we have, what did you say? What do you mean when you say profit loss and things like that as a young person? Because the earlier you start learning or having these conversations, the better you will be. And it's crazy. Like, we used to talk about this type of stuff when I was in high school. Like, Mr. Warros was my economics teacher. You know what I mean? And I'll never forget, he always talked about economy and economics. And then you have different teachers that teach you to be curious and to just ask as many questions as you can until an adult gets tired of it. And I believe that's how we can learn, but we have to encourage that behavior as well from younger people. And even it's to the point now to we're adults, because I believe that because of the way the education system was, let's say 18 years ago, the No Child Left Behind thing, like, a lot of adults don't even understand how to learn or to ask questions or to be curious. So I think that sometimes we even expect adults to understand simple things when they don't, and we don't even consider the fact that the education system may play a role in why certain adults don't learn as well as others.
But you light up when you talk about your old teachers.
Oh, yeah. The public school system served me well. And all my teachers believed in me. I believe all my teachers believed in me because I always ran my mouth. You always had something to say. You always ask questions, but I always wanted to answer a question. Like, when they say it's time, who's reading?
But you had to put yourself in that way to receive.
Yeah.
What was your pro tip as being a good student?
So I will say, like, my family, my grandfather, my aunt, my uncles and stuff like that, like, they rewarded good behavior and discipline bad behavior. You know what I mean? So it was like, and then I have a competitive spirit. Me and my friends, we always competed. Who would get the best grades? Who would get the highest GPA? What? Highest GPA? I got a 3.3. Oh, man, now I got to get, we trying to, like, when they used to break down the math teachers, like, we want to be the first person to
get you weren't afraid of being called a nerd?
What? No, listen, I call myself a nerd to this day. I love the fact that I was smart. Like, when computers came out,
yeah,
I was the first person to learn how to, like, download stuff and burn CDs and fix computers and do the chat lines and Google stuff. I remember MapQuest, like, printing out maps and stuff when a lot of my friends was like, they didn't know what. So, like, growing up, a lot of my friends relied on me because I was smart and I was educated. But we always push each other to be smarter than one another. I just always wanted to be the smartest one. And then when my grandfather rewarded me for that, my aunt rewarded me for that. My uncles rewarded me for that. So it's like, yo, hold on. You telling me I can get good grades and make money? You know what I mean? I can get good grades. And like, I remember my aunt Gwen, she, when I turned 16, I got my driver's license. I had a job. She had an old car, and she just was like, let me see if you can drive. We went to the gas station, put some gas in the car. She's like, okay, take me to the house. So I took her to the house. I'm like, all right, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? She was like, that's yours. That's your car.
Wow.
That's yours. Just pay the insurance. But because I'm proud of you, you go to work, you earning money, you get good grades in school. So, like, yeah, I was always rewarded for being smart, having positive behaviors. And then in the Erie community, like, the community centers, like, they rewarded positive behavior. You used to take your report cards. And I was a big kid. You go to Ponderosa with a good report card. You go to Pizza Hut. So I'm getting all the, yeah, listen, man, I took advantage of all of the perks that you get as a kid when you're being smart. If it's free books, if it's free lunch, if it's money from my family, if it's the opportunity to brag to my friends that I was smarter than them. And when I say smarter than them, like, I'm talking, if I'm getting a 3.5, they getting a 3.2, and we're,
you guys are really competing at a high level.
On a high level. Yeah. And that was something I always took pride in. And there were teachers who emphasized the importance of us doing this. And some of those teachers cared more for me than people in my neighborhood, to where like, I didn't even want to disappoint my teachers. And some of them to this day, when I was like, they still remember me, and I still remember them, like running up to them. Like I'm still a little kid. Like I see Mr. Myers, Mr. Greg Myers, and I broke into tears, like crying, like, yo, I appreciate you so much. You have no idea the role that you played in the man I am today.
Emphasizing the communications back and forth to young people, to the minority community, and the opportunities that are in trades. And so this idea has kind of occurred to you. Now, what functionally can you do to kind of boost that, you think? What are you working on right now?
I mean, so since I started talking about it, I've been having conversations with some of the heads of the labor unions, and I don't want to like misquote their positions or their titles, so I won't say it, their titles. But what I've learned is there's plenty of opportunity for people to literally just call the labor union and say, hey, I'm interested in being a carpenter. Hey, I'm interested in being an electrician. These are programs that are scholarship by the state. From what I was told, the only union you have to pay for is electrician, is the books, and it's like $500. Have to have a GED or a high school diploma, a valid license. And it's like, from there, you can start earning, and it's different rules for different unions. But from there, it's like you can earn as soon as you get started. So as I'm getting this information, what I'm doing is like, I've talked to people, hey, send me this information. I can put it on my social media. I can share it with some of the people I'm connected to, because, you know, I'm connected with a lot of different organizations within the community. So my role, I guess, right now is just pretty much to be the bridge and to be sharing information that people maybe had questions. I'm a type of person where I'm going to ask the question everybody's thinking, but nobody's going to say.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Yes, or go get the piece of information. So now it's more or less like, how can I use my platform for the people who are paying attention to me, to offer them valuable, life-changing information. And I think because I speak on serious issues and on, you know, serious levels of different things, a lot of people will be paying attention to believe that, like, yo, if he said it, it's true and it's real. So the people who are receiving the message can pay attention, and the people who need to issue the message can, you know, send it to me to give, because from the conversations I had, there's a need of workers. And if you look out the window, like, it's redevelopment here, it's redevelopment right down the street, it's redevelopment all over the city of Erie, and new people are getting new projects. Because Erie Events just got $9 million for the market.
Right,
house.
exactly.
Somebody has to build that. Bayfront Eastside Task Force, they're proposing a housing project on 6th and Parade Street. Mm-hmm. Somebody has to build that. Then somebody has to put the electricity in there. Then somebody has to put the sprinkler system in there, and then the HVAC and all of that stuff in there. So if people from here sign up for it or they don't, it's going to happen, right? Mm-hmm. So it's more or less, how do we figure out how we can get involved, how we can, I want to say, force people to take these opportunities seriously and take advantage of them before somebody else comes and does it. And then we don't have, not only do we not have a place to live, but we don't even have people who can earn, or people who can build, or people who can fix and repair. So then ultimately that will take more out of our community if we don't put the emphasis on the importance of people who live here. This is not a black thing, white thing, race. This is none of that. It's more or less like people who live in the city of Erie who have the opportunity to take advantage of how the trades and the laborers can have an impact on our community economically, and even like to build a relationship. Everybody needs to be understanding the importance of this. And if it's not for them, to be passing it along. Because
sure.
I don't have any plans on, I would love to learn for myself, but I'm not going to go into a trade and join a union, because there are other things in my future for me. Sure. But I know that I will need some of these people when I start coming up with plans to say, hey, I need a couple plumbers, who can I call? I need a couple electricians, who can I call? And I want to make sure that the people are ready for the call when the call comes. So why not put the information out there and then go talk to the people who some people may be intimidated to go speak to, and then bridge the gap and be the bridge and do the warm handoffs and whatever that looks like moving forward.
Talk about too, you know, where the educational institutions might come to play. You know, they have a welding program at EC3 up at the Votech. You know, obviously there's the career and technical stuff at Erie High.
Right.
McDowell Manufacturing.
Right.
You've got all of Erie County Technical School. Corey has technical.
Right.
I mean, do we just need to wave those flags even further?
I think that we need to put more emphasis on it like we put emphasis on everything else. Again, when you see young people doing things they have no business doing, it gets publicized. There was a fight at the basketball court.
Right.
Goes crazy.
Yes.
There are programs at Erie High where they can teach these students these same skills. It's not going crazy. You know what I mean? I worked at the Erie County Technical School for the last quarter of the year, and I was teaching the leadership classes. I had no idea that that place existed or the skills or the trades that they are teaching young people. But it exists. I remember.
Can you go after high school to?
No, you can't. That's the thing. So you can't go. It's in high school.
Yeah.
And then I remember having a conversation with Teresa Zumagala, and she took me on a tour through Erie High. And like, I went to Central and I didn't realize all the improvements and things that's going on over there. But we don't talk about that. But if a fight breaks out in Erie High, whoa, we'll talk about all of that. So again,
this is why we're trying to shine this light.
Yeah, we need to put more emphasis on the importance of this. And that's why I'm like talking to some of the labor and trade guys, because they're not aware of how impactful they can be if they start visiting these places a little bit more often, or going with different people who can steward them that are more familiar or popular with the people they're trying to engage with, if that makes sense.
No, I mean, we are in an age of influencers.
Right.
So we need a Deonte Cooley to say, hey, this is what's out there. Here's what's available. You need to check it out. And let's put the cookies on the bottom shelf. You know, here's the website. Here's the phone number. Here's the person that I personally talked to.
Right.
You know, you're kind of that connector person.
Right.
Looking for amazing finds and incredible deals? Visit Erie City Mission Thrift today. From stylish clothes and shoes to quality furniture and home goods, you'll discover something new each time while changing lives right here in Erie. It's shopping that feels good and does good. Come see us in Erie and Girard. Erie City Mission Thrift. Thrift with a purpose.
From baggage claim to pajamas in 10 minutes. Erie International Airport. Fly with ERI.com.
Fly Erie International Airport to Charlotte on American Airlines, your nonstop gateway to the world. Also, we have Breeze Airways flying nonstop to Orlando and Tampa, Florida. A great low-cost carrier providing excellent service to the regional community. Fly Erie International for your travel needs.
Fly with ERI.com.
Get paid to drive. Start a new career behind the wheel at the EMTA. If you are looking for a high-paying and rewarding career with full benefits and paid training, stop by or apply online today with the EMTA. Plus, EMTA riders can now enjoy free Wi-Fi on new, clean, and environmentally friendly buses to travel all over Erie County. Visit ridethee.com for more information.
Get on board EMTA. Get on board EMTA. Get
He is an activist, and I want to tie in on that activist for a second here. You've been making a statement pretty much almost every city council meeting.
Yeah.
Sometimes you say, I didn't even know I was going to come up here. Tell us a little bit about your philosophy or what you're thinking when with that public comment period at council.
Okay, so the way I look at it now is like, since we've been going down there, it's been more of a popular thing. Like, more people are coming down there.
There's no doubt.
More people are paying attention. More people are watching on YouTube. And the reason why I felt like we should start going down there in the first place is it's public record. You know, we're making moments of history every single time we come down there. And then you have the opportunity to address the entire council as well as the mayor about an issue that maybe you have observed. So I feel like this is not just a social media, cry for help or a social media complaint. This is not just a, hey, I'm going to send you a private text message. This is pretty much like I'm putting it on the record that this is an issue for our community, as well as with a solution of how we can solve the issue, or saying I'm making myself available to have a conversation afterwards. So it's more or less like using a platform for what it's for, because that is what it's for. When you talk about public comment, there's not a thing that they can say you can't talk about when you go in there for that segment. You just have to hold decorum. So I go in there and I take advantage of the platform. I take advantage of the opportunity to use the platform to inform not only the people who are sitting there, but the people who are watching, the people who are paying attention. And that's also why I share it on my social media, because the common person may not watch that on YouTube, or the people who are in my neighborhood or in my community, they don't understand that. So it's more or less, I'm educating people on the things that you can and you cannot, or you can and you should do when you're having issues in the community in which you live in.
The only pushback I would say is that I'm noticing some commenters, they're reading from their phones and it almost seems like they're all reading the same script. Is that happening a little bit with some of the organized groups?
So honestly, I'm not moving or a part of any organized group, but I have noticed that as well. And I think it's because a lot of people either don't realize or understand how long or short 3 or 5 minutes is.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But I look at it like this because that would be a strategy that I would use if I was trying to drive home a serious point. I would have a script on the panel, and if it was 3 pages long and I had a group of 20 people who was willing, every time my 5 minutes was up, I would just put an X there and the next person would come read from there. That's if we were all there for the same reason.
Yeah.
But I never go down there with a script. Anytime I have my phone, it's to check the time because, like I said before, I feel like I've been robbed of my time.
You're running. Oh,
so
you're running the timer.
I usually have a timer on my phone, and when I'm tapping it, I'm not tapping it to read. I'm tapping it because a light is going off, and I want to make sure that our buzzer is going off at the same time. Because if not, I'm going to go until I hear mine or until they say they bang the gavel and put me out of there. I'm
going to shout out a council member's name. I don't mean any disrespect, but you got some pushback from council member Horton, Andre Horton, about I can't be down here for 5 hours on a Wednesday night. Would you respond to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I would respond to that because you signed up for that. And like even when one of the times I went down there and I said, if it takes for us to hold this place hostage, because I will get 100 people down here to use up 5 minutes of this time, and that's 8 something hours. Like, you can't regulate what we're saying as long as we're not breaking decorum. And I asked Dr. Titus that at the last meeting because somebody was cut off. And I'm like, yo, when I come down here for my time, I'm allowed to use my time as I would, right? So again, and I know like people can say yay or nay, whatever. Like, had it not been for me, it wouldn't be that many people coming down there for as long as they would, making that many comments, because it wasn't like that prior to us going down there. So I know that I take a lot of blame for those meetings being that long, but at the end of the day, you're a public servant, right? And if I would have won the seat, I would have had to sit down there and wait there for that 5 hours as well. So I definitely get it because I have a hard time sitting still myself.
You're right.
So I understand where Andre is coming from when he said this 5 hour stuff is too long. But at the end of the day, that's just like going to work and saying, I don't want to do my job anymore. Like, it doesn't matter how you feel about it because you're serving the people and the people want to speak and we get 5 minutes. So if 100 people want to come down there for 5 minutes and that's the way the meeting is structured, and 5 times 100 is 500. So that's,
they have it within their power if they want to restructure the meeting, if they want to go to 3 minutes or keep it to 20 speakers, or, they can do whatever they want to do. They could pass an ordinance if they want to.
I mean, if they want to, it had to get voted, but then how would that look for the people that you serve?
There's no doubt.
You know what I mean? Doubt. It's like now
the mayor seems to be encouraged by all the public engagement.
Yeah, I talked to the mayor. We had a conversation. Even after like I came down there hard at her, that's one thing I love about the mayor. Like she has a really good spirit. You know what I mean? And a strong one too. But yeah, she encourages it. She told me if I got to sit here for hours and y'all come scream at me, we can do it this way or we can go about it different ways, but I'm open to it because it matters. And I will say, outside of what people think, she has been receptive to the things that we have been saying. At least I can speak for myself personally. I will say that Mayor Devlin has been very open to hearing and been receptive to conversations. And even when she feels like she doesn't get it right, she will acknowledge that. Yeah. I didn't get it right this one, or I can't side with you on this one, but I understand where you're coming from. And even when we have our disagreements. So I will say that, and all of them do. I think that they're all good sports, but it's just like, we don't want to have to deal with this, even though we know we signed up for it. So at the end of the day, I don't take anything away from anybody for sitting up there and dealing with me or dealing with everybody else. But I just hope that they understand that nobody's going to make me feel like I shouldn't come down there if I feel like I have a right to be there.
One more question about council and the mayor and in City Hall in general. Can City Hall be a force of good for what you're talking about? Because I don't ever hear about ordinances that are talking about, workforce development or, improving the economy. I hear things about, voting down the market house before they vote for it, or kind of social justice things.
Right.
Some good, some, questionable. Can council, can the mayor, can City Hall be a force of strength, of a bully pulpit for what you're trying to improve, which is individuals getting better outcomes out of their lives through education?
Absolutely. I will say that they can and they have. Again, when you think about even like the unions and stuff like that, that's Andre Horton's background. You know what I mean? True. So he was working with the unions and they had an event over at the Warner Theater where they were trying to get people signed up for that. So I know that's something that he does and that's in his heart. You think Mo Troop, he's an educator, he works up there at Erie High. Daria, she came from the school district, you know what I mean? Ed Brzezinski is a former educator as well. And again, I'm not trying to discredit anybody else's background. I don't know everybody else's background, but absolutely they can be a strong force and a driving force. And I think Andre is when he talks about those community benefit agreements, but I think the thing that's missing is we need to understand as a community what that means. And if that means more people getting certified to join the unions, that message needs to be delivered more effectively, or it needs to be delivered in different ways than what it's always been so more people can understand it. But I definitely believe that our entire city council is more than capable of pushing this message. Our mayor is more than capable of pushing this message, especially when you see them doing the photo shoots and photo ops and stuff like that, and you're seeing people with shovels into the ground. I believe that they need to put more emphasis on, hey, not just young people, but able-bodied people who are capable of doing this type of work. Let's look into this. Let's sign up for this stuff, and let's figure out how we can keep some of the money right here in the city and make the financial tornado spiral in Erie before it leaves here.
Yeah, I'm feeling like GDIC, Jerry Blanks.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I feel like he's in line with what you're talking about with their scholarship programs. Do you feel like, let's say Diverse Erie, Gary Lee, are they providing, I'm trying to look on the solution side,
right,
either on a funding or an actual education, whether it's EC3 or community school, community schools model and the community centers. Can you package that all for me?
Absolutely. I honestly think that a lot of different people are working to collaborate on these things. And I believe I said this before. It's like a generational thing because there are a lot of new emerging leaders in Erie. I mean, and even when we think about our new administration, like, on the younger side, and more people are open to collaborating. So when you talk about the Gary Lees and you talk about the EC3s, there are people who serve on those boards and who are part of those organizations who are having conversations. You talk Dr. Ben Wilson over at GCAC having conversations. Gerald Blanks just reached out to me. I seen him at the Erie picnic, the Erie Club picnic. He's like, hey, we need to get in touch with one another. So I think right now we're at a point in time where the young emerging leaders in Erie, or even the new emerging leaders in Erie, are open to having collaborative conversations about how we can get this information out there. And now we're leaning on one another's resources and networks to say, okay, whose job is what? To where it's like, okay, Deonte, you can go talk to these people and do X, Y, and Z. Collect that data, bring it back here. And then let's say I'll talk to somebody like a Gerald or somebody like a Drew Whiting or somebody like a Marcus Atkinson. And it's like, all right, what do we do with this information? And then we take it and we pass it along. So it's more or less like, yeah, we have everything that we need right here in the city of Erie to be as good as we possibly can be. And it's more or less like, how do we start coming back together as opposed to trying to figure out who created all the problems? Because right now I'm looking out the window and I see nothing but opportunity and opportunity for solutions. So it's more or less like, how do we get to the point to where we're solely focused on solutions and finding the people who are willing to do the work that's going to build us up?
You realize how incredibly optimistic and positive what you just said is.
It's possible.
I mean, this is not complaining or whining or victimhood. This is like the opportunity is there. We have everything we need.
Yeah.
That's an incredible statement.
Absolutely. I mean, look around. I mean, legitimately look around. Like you see as opportunities here, you got new restaurants coming, even for things that don't make it. Anytime something doesn't make it, I just look at it for opportunity for somebody else to come in. Like for instance, you got Static here on the corner. They just got in there. There's a boba shop, I believe, a couple doors next door.
Just
you know what I mean?
next door, yeah.
And then you got the Serafini's right there after the other place didn't really so much pan out. So I think there are a lot of people in Erie who are willing to take advantage of opportunities when they present themselves. And as long as we can focus on that and then figure out how to help the people who failed at the opportunities be better, as opposed to just sweeping the floor with them, we will have opportunities to grow and we can share experiences and learn and build from that. And I think, again, this is not just me. This is the generation that I'm a part of. We are all thinking like this. We're all having these conversations behind the scene. I guess I just got the biggest mouth of my friends. You know what I mean? Because I'm connected to a lot of people who you mentioned and a lot of people who, like, I just seen Casey Coratori walk down the street. Drew Whiting's on the live stream. So it's a lot of people who are willing to do the work. I'm just like, I'll scream it. I'll say it because there might be some people who will only listen to it from me. And we're all building. So I'm optimistic because I see the good. I feel the good. I'm connected to the good and the opportunities. And it's even people like yourself and like the different guests that you have here and Dr. Matthew Platts and the different things that he's doing.
Sure.
So there are a lot of people in Erie who are like, hey, we're pushing forward and we're changing. We're not complaining. We're not asking for permission. I guess I'll say it loud.
Yeah. I want you to, I was thinking about this over the weekend. I was so glad you were able to come. And, I talked to CEOs. I talk to influencers and educators like you. I don't talk to too many regular folks on this show. It just, I don't even know how to book that, I mean, we know how to book the head of a nonprofit or the president of the university or whatever, right? We know how to book you because you are, at the top of your game. Can you share with me the time I have left? I have 6-7 minutes left.
Okay.
Talk about the lived experience of folks from your neighborhood. I mean, I'm very excited because our friend Marcus Atkinson has developed a new media channel, Blacksys Media. You've got the radio station. What is it? 92.7
HD2.
HD2. Yeah. Can you just share? Is life getting at all better for people of color in Erie?
Ooh.
Or we still have a long ways to go?
I would say we still have a long ways to go, but there are opportunities. There are people who are willing to help. There are people who are willing to work. I think it's more or less like we're figuring out that we can be our biggest supports once we start coming together. So when you say things are getting better, I think it's to the point to where we're having those uncomfortable conversations, or we're coming to those realizations that we have what we need and we need to start building together. And there are some things that are happening within our community that we don't want to see happening. But I think outside looking in, people see it and generalize it as the entire community. So I don't know how to answer that. And I don't want to be the person to be like, yeah, things are getting better for the black community, or no, they aren't getting better for the black community. But what I will say is there are people who are stepping up, who are willing to do what it takes to make things better, as opposed to what we historically did was wait for the government to save us or wait for some of the named leaders to save us. It's more or less like there are people who are stepping up in these roles to do better. So,
I mean, I'm just thinking of people trying to make their block better, or, people at the church, church leaders making.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I think you're working with, Pastor Cook.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Who's a dear friend of mine.
Yeah.
Just able to make, again, you get these wins.
Yeah. So again, I'm doing something at the church tonight up there at Greater Calvary Second Baptist for Pastor Cook, with the young men of the community. Pastor Cook is doing great things in the community. Then you talk about some of the organizations or some of the entrepreneurs, people are giving back, putting in. You think about, I remember last time we was here, we had Sean Johnson Jr. here, his family, Johnson Real Estate, they're pretty much buying up their neighborhood, from commercial properties or residential properties, to affordable housing. The Hammond Health Foundation is a tenant of theirs over on East Avenue. So there are people within the community who are taking steps in the right direction to do good things for themselves and for the betterment or the greater good of the community. But it's there's a large gap in the people who could, if they had the right resources, the right information, or the right education. And it's a lot of those people, a lot of us feel like somebody's keeping that information from us, as opposed to realizing how easy it is for us to obtain it. So it's how do we build those bridges and connect those gaps to where a person like Drew Whiting would feel comfortable to come into my barbershop and talk to some of my friends who would never come talk to him down here in the food hall. You know what I mean? Or how do we get a Tim Nicastro to come, play basketball with us in the park and just be a regular dude? You know what I mean? Because again, you said you can talk to people in those levels, but it's Erie is only but so big. So everybody knows where everything is.
It's true. 1 degree of separation.
Right. So that's what I mean. How do we get these guys at Denny's, and not on the day when the cameras are going to be there, but on the day when it's 6:30, 7 o'clock, and the daylight is changing. There might be some different type of individuals out there. So when you talk about meeting people where they are, it's ways that it can be better, and we are doing what we need to do within our community to be better. But we also know that there are people in Erie who don't look like us, who have a lot of say-so, who have a lot of influence, who have a lot of money, who won't come talk to us, interact with us, or engage with us so that we can make it out of our positions. So we are doing what we can, what we have, but there are not a lot of the people who are coming to the have-nots. They're still waiting for us to come to them, not realizing how uncomfortable it is for you to get two people to sit here. But if I say, hey, come to Blacksys and tell me your story, they would come to Blacksys. So it's more or less what we're doing at Blacksys is we're trying to figure out how can we get some of the haves to come to us, to share their story, share their information and resources with some of the have-nots. So
you guys have earned, you and Marcus and Malcolm, and you've earned your platform.
Absolutely.
And so absolutely people should be coming.
Absolutely. And we have EJ Fike on there. We have Rock Copeland on there.
There you go.
And then Marcus, he's had a variety of people on there. So it's not that people aren't coming.
I'll accept any invitation I get.
I'm gonna hold you to that. Yeah, so it's not that people aren't coming.
No,
it's more or less like we're building up the platform
100%. Well,
for more
it's
people
new.
to see.
Yeah, it's
for more people to see this is possible and this is happening.
Again, tell folks where they can hear Deonte.
So listen, man, on Black Access Media is WICU 92.7 HD2. I have a show running every Saturday called The Cook Up, where we cover 5 different topics. And then every Monday you can catch Malcolm and I's Social Impact, Plight of the Black Man in America. Malcolm and I are on the radio every Monday at 12 o'clock. And then we are on Facebook Live and YouTube every Thursday at 8 o'clock. And those are the things we have with Black Access. And Marcus Atkinson is on there all. He's got Mornings curated by Marcus. He's got Next 2.0. He's got the Briefing Room. He's got the Barbershop Chronicles. Craig Woodard, he was here before. He's got a show, et cetera, with the Woodards. We got Lone Sav. He's mixing music on there. So yeah, and it's increasing. So yeah.
Are you able to get it as an app or a stream?
There's a Black Access Media app you can download on the Google Play Store or Apple's Play Store, or you can go right to the website. It's blackaccess927.com, and you can just play it. Yeah, so it's available, and some of those shows that were pre-recorded are on there. So yeah, it's just spreading information as much as we can and being honest about it, being transparent about it, and being informative, because I'm not the type of person who's going to sit around and complain if I don't have a solution to hand.
While we have you, let's talk about a little bit more Black media. We want to pay homage to Super Soul Saturday,
Absolutely.
Homer Smith. Again, I've known Homer for almost 50 years.
Yeah.
Again, I grew up with Bobby Kay. God rest his soul. We just have to continue to communicate.
Right.
And use our influence.
Absolutely. And they played a major role in the development of Black Access. And Marcus always makes sure that he recognizes
That's
that.
awesome.
Like, it's just not to compete with anybody. It's more or less like, how do we enhance what we grew up seeing and hearing? And that's what we aim to do. And that's what we have been doing. So, and again, shout out to you for always having me as a guest on. I think this is like my 3rd or 4th time being on here. It's always a great conversation. And I just appreciate the opportunity to spread positive messages, be a voice for my community, to my community, and just figure out different ways that we can grow and build.
They could watch your videos on YouTube and on Facebook.
Yeah, so YouTube, like yours. The Facebook, they disappear every 30 days. For the YouTube, any live that Malcolm and I do, they're available on our YouTube page.
And your dog walks are on?
My dog walks are on Facebook. So I do those every single day. I do the dog walk every single day, and those are live. So I think those disappear.
What's your name of your pooch?
So I have an American Nikita. Her name's Italia. Yeah, she's huge. Yeah, big old baby. But yeah, she'll be 6 in January. Yeah, we've been going on dog walks. Well, I've been recording it for the last 10 months. Well, 1 month I took a break, but we've been going 10 months, and the conversation is all geared towards health. And then now I got my recording device, so now I can get a recap of what the dog walk was about. So I'm having fun with it, man.
Yeah. And you're using some of the AI to capture.
Yeah, I am.
And format it.
Absolutely.
I love what you're doing. That's why we wanted to have you here to get an update. I think, again, I just can't say enough about that education being like Senator, said, and, it's like magic. It really activated what you're able to do. It activated what I was able to do. Shaney, all of us, we got so much about what we learned in school and those amazing teachers that saw something in us. So.
Shout out to anybody who is a teacher, because you definitely matter.
You do. Deonte Cooley, thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
You've been listening to The Joel Natale Show, Erie, Pennsylvania's daily podcast from TalkErie.com. Subscribe to our show on your favorite podcatcher and get involved by emailing joel@TalkErie.com.